should probably introduce you, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am with my granddad and we are going to talk all about World War II and Grandad's experiences, and I've got the questions here. So, firstly, how old were you when the war started?
I was 7 years old.
7 years old.
I was born in 1932.
Which means he's got a special birthday this year.
Yes, yes.
And where did you get evacuated to?
From Hastings, I was taken to a place called Coney Heath, which is in Hertfordshire and just outside of London.
Okay. Did you like your evacuee family?
It was an elderly lady that was looking after my brother and I, and we were cared for, but not in the way that children are cared for today. We were very much left to our own devices.
Interesting. How did you feel about leaving your own family?
Strangely enough, it didn't seem to bother me too much. Nowadays, I think if I was taken away from my family, I'd be kicking and screaming and making an awful fuss. But as far as I can remember, in those days, it didn't seem to affect me at all. I was with my brother at the time, so perhaps that helped.
Yeah, definitely. And was it right at the beginning of the war?
No. The war started in 1939,
yeah,
and this would have been around about 1940.
Oh, okay. We've just done about the Blitz, so would it have been
Yes,
around
yes.
that sort of time?
Yes, that was the cause of the evacuation.
Yeah, oh, interesting. Okay, we've said how old you are. Did any of your friends get evacuated, or do you not remember?
They must have done. All I can remember is that a lot of children were evacuated at the same time, and I can remember that we were all had our little square cardboard boxes with our gas masks, and we had a label with our name on and our date of birth, and we were all taken and put on a bus and taken away. We must have had a train journey, but I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Yeah, maybe you didn't. Maybe it was just a bus journey the whole way. It could have been either, couldn't it? Yeah. So what was the home like when you were evacuated?
What was the home like?
Yeah, the house.
It was a very old cottage. They didn't have central heating. There was one cold water tap in the kitchen, and the cooking was done on what is called a range. Now, many of you today will understand a kitchen with cookers and things like that, but we didn't have electricity or anything like that, and it was done on a coal-fired range.
Really?
And all the cooking and that, and washing first thing in the morning. Once we were woken, we had to go outside, and there was a big tub of cold water, rainwater, and we had a round bowl with a wooden handle, and we had to dip that into the rainwater and wash our faces with that.
Oh wow.
And it had little wriggly things in it as well.
Oh no!
Which is quite fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. And did it freeze in the winter?
It must have done, yes.
Oh.
Break the ice.
So is that the only way you were? Did you have a shower as well?
No showers. The bath, if we were lucky, was a tin bath in front of the range.
Oh really?
Yes, once a week.
Oh my goodness. Was it scary being evacuated?
Not as such. The only thing that was frightening about it was the fact that it was wartime, and even where we were evacuated to, we were still subject to bombing.
Yeah.
Because it was close to London.
Yeah, so you're still.
So it was frightening in that respect.
Yeah. And this leads on actually. So when you had the air raid sirens, where did you go?
We didn't have an air raid shelter in our house. It was a 3-storey house. If you can imagine, 3 houses, a big house, and we had a staircase going from our flat up to the flat above, and we stayed in the staircase. it was considered to be the safest place
safest part
in
of
the house.
Yeah, we've just been looking at different types of air raid shelters, so that's interesting that
Yeah.
you didn't have one. After the war, did you go back to your family?
Yes, yeah. It was, in fact, it was during the war. I was only evacuated for about 3 years,
Yeah,
and then we went back to Hastings.
yeah.
But then, following on that, the Doodlebug started. Have you talked about the Doodlebugs
We haven't, but
yet?
talk about them. Tell them what you can say.
Well,
Yeah.
these were invented by the Germans, and they were pilotless planes. They were like rockets. They were fueled up, and they were fired off mainly from France, and they would take off, and once the fuel ran out, they would just dive down into the ground, regardless of where they were, and they would blow up. They were aimed basically at London, but some of them came close. They ran out of fuel early and landed. Yeah, and if you could hear them coming, it was a horrible droning noise, and they weren't very high.
Yeah.
But they were obviously way above the houses.
Yeah.
But once the drone stopped, there was silence until it exploded.
Oh,
That was quite frightening because you didn't know where they were going to
yeah,
land.
the unknown. That is scary. Were you allowed to take a book with you when you went to evacuation?
No, we didn't. We didn't have books ourselves in those days, as far as I can remember. Bear in mind, I was only 7 or 8 when I was evacuated, and we didn't have the access to the books and the libraries that you have today.
You make up for it now with your reading.
I do indeed, yes, yes.
I think we've answered that one actually. Looks very similar. What was the food like?
The food, as far as I can remember, must have been very basic. Well, there would be plenty of fruit, like apples and pears and plums, so it'd be grown locally or in Kent. But fruit that would be imported from abroad, like bananas and oranges, we never saw during the war at all.
That's crazy, isn't
Yes,
it? I was trying to explain this because we were talking about that the other day, and I just can't believe that you wouldn't have. Some people wouldn't have known what they were, would they?
No.
You wouldn't have known.
No.
That's crazy. And what about rations? Did you have
the rations, which as children obviously we didn't know what was going on, but our parents or people in charge of us would have ration books for us. Yeah. And you'd probably get I think it was about 2 ounces of butter a week. Wow. Which, if you work it out, I'm not sure what that is in grams. No. But 2 ounces of butter doesn't go very far. And of course, sugar, everything was rationed. Yeah. Meat was rationed. And the menus were very, very basic. Yeah. But, we didn't go hungry. No. I can remember one of the treats we used to get was to go to the baker's shop and buy bread rolls, crispy bread rolls. We eat the centre first, and then the crispy bit last. That sounds good. Did you get butter with that, or did you have to spread it out? Oh no, we just had a plain roll on its own. Just plain roll. Oh, that sounds good. I like that. And is there anything else interesting you can tell us that you remember? Well, because once we'd been evacuated the first time, went back to Hastings, then the Doodlebug started, and I was evacuated to Wales, only for 6 months, but that was the first time I ever had the cane. Oh, was it? Oh no! And this would have been about 43, 1944, 43 probably, and we were doing piggybacks up and down the corridor in the school, which was against the school rules. And the person that was carrying me got tired, so he sat me on a window ledge, which was fine, but it happened to be the window ledge of the headmaster's study, and the glass broke. It must have been very thin glass, but he pushed me back against it, and the headmaster came out, obviously, wasn't very happy with us, and that's when I had 6 strokes of the cane,
Oh no!
3 on each hand.
Oh no! Did you learn your lesson?
I did indeed. Never did it again.
So you went to school in Hastings, Hertfordshire and Wales?
Yes.
So every time you moved you went
Yes.
to school?
Yes.
Ah, so you made new friends just
Yes.
wherever you
Yeah.
went?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember school very much?
Not a lot, no. I remember more once we came home after the war.
Yeah.
That I won a scholarship and went to the grammar school in Hastings.
Oh, okay.
But that's another story altogether.
Oh, that's interesting. I think we pretty much answered them. What was life like after the war?
After the war was completely different, obviously.
Yeah.
Food was still rationed
Yeah.
for a
I heard
while.
it
I'm
was.
not sure when it came off rationing,
Yeah.
but obviously the things like bananas and oranges suddenly appearing in
Yeah.
the greengrocer shops. And we settled down to what was supposed to be a normal life again.
Yeah. Did you have we haven't actually learned about this yet, but did you have a VE Day party? Or can you not remember?
Not that I remember.
I remember.
No, if I remember rightly, VE Day, I was with the Scouts,
Yeah.
and we were in camp that weekend when the war in Europe was declared over.
Yeah.
And so, no, we didn't have a street party as
No,
such.
you were just having fun in your camp.
Yeah, yes.
That sounds good. Amazing. Thank you so much, Grandad.
It's a pleasure, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Grandad.